Hey everyone, welcome back to Red Letter Talk with Rylee. Like always, we'll wait a few seconds, minutes until people come on and then we'll get started. But we'll be in John 11. Oh, I see there's somebody. Hopefully she'll show me who. But hello, whoever you are. So we'll be in John 11 tonight in the Amplified version. So if you want to come along or if you just want me to read it, that's okay too. Hi, Ruth. Like I said, we'll just wait a few more moments and then we'll get started. Like I said, it'll be John 11. All right. It's showing me another person. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Hello, whoever you are. I'll just get started and then people can join on in. But welcome back to Red Letter Talk with Rylee, where we are just going through the words of Jesus and what he said when he was on earth and how impactful they are to even today. We've been in a series for a little bit about the miracles. Hi, Bill. The miracles and the healings of Jesus and the things that he did when he was on earth. And so today we're going to be talking in John 11. It's one of my favorite stories of Jesus. I mean, a lot of them are my favorites. So, but it's about Lazarus, coming back to life. And so I'm not going to read all of it because there is a lot. I was reading through, I'm like, yeah, this would take me the whole time. So, I'm going to kind of set up what was happening then. And then I would encourage you to read it too. It's in John 11. But basically, the sisters, Mary and Martha, their brother, Lazarus, was really sick. And so they gave word to Jesus for him to come and to heal Lazarus. But Jesus decided to wait. He wasn't going right away. And basically, his disciples were like, hey, you need to go, And Jesus said something quite profound where he goes, well, he's only sleeping. We're going to wake him up. And they were like, well, I guess he's really not that sick. And Jesus was like, no, he's dead. He's going to be dead, but I'm going to raise him from death. So what I love about that, even that whole scenario, is even just Jesus's mindset of what death is, yes, it's kind of almost like sleeping when he's talking about it. Like, yes, this is happening now, but what's going to come? That it's only a sleep because he will will rise again. And so he basically then goes, to Bethany that was near Jerusalem and was going to them. And what happens is Martha comes up to Jesus saying, where were you? Why weren't you here? If you were here, my brother, hi Pam, my brother would be alive right now. And, Jesus replies to her, and this is in verse 22, your brother will rise from the dead. Martha replied, I know that he will rise from the dead in the resurrection on the last day. So then Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live even if he dies, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? And I love that because, Martha had this vision of what that would look like. Okay, well, if, yes, my brother will rise, but it's happening, a different time. And Jesus had to stop her, like, no, I'm the resurrection of life. And whoever believes in me will even live even when he dies. And I love that it's that kind of shifting of that focus. So she said to him, yes, Lord, I have believed and continue to believe that you are the Christ, the Messiah, the anointed one, the Son of God, who was destined and promised to come into the world and is for you, and the world has waited. So then she calls for her sister Mary, and Mary pretty much says the same thing. Like, where were you, Jesus? If you were here, hi Mary, if you were here, this would have happened, pretty much. And so, I'm just making sure I have it right. So when Jesus, and this is in verse 33, when Jesus saw her sobbing, and the Jews who had come with her also sobbing, I love this, he was deeply moved in spirit to the point of anger at the sorrow caused by death, and was troubled, and said, where have you laid him? They said, Jesus, come and see. Jesus wept, which is the shortest verse in the Bible. All our PK kids or kids that went to school where they had to memorize, that's like the best one. Jesus wept. So the Jews were saying, see how he loved him as a close friend. But some of them said, could not this man who opened the blind man's eyes have kept this man from dying? So Jesus, again, deeply moved within to the point of anger, approached the tomb. It was a cave, and a boulder was lying against it to cover the entrance. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, Lord, by this time there will be an offensive odor, for he has been dead for 4 days, which is, it is hopeless almost. Jesus said to her, did I not say to you that if you believe in me, you will see the glory of God, the expression of his excellence? So they took away the stone, and Jesus raised his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me and listen to me, but I have said this because of the people standing around, so that they may believe that you have sent me. When he had said this, he shouted with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. Out came the man who had been dead, his hands and his feet tightly wrapped in the burial cloths, and with the burial cloth wrapped around his face. Jesus said to him, unwrap him and release him. So then many of the Jews who had come to be with Mary, and who were eyewitnesses to what Jesus had done, believed in him. But some of them went back to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Hi, Jackie. And so I think this is just there's a few things that I wanted to point out from this passage. And one of them being when Jesus kept telling them, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And even when he said to them, do you believe in me? Do you believe that I can resurrect your brother? Do you believe in me that I'm the Messiah? All of them said yes. Like Martha said, yes, I believe. But when it came down to it, when Jesus said, take the stone away from the tomb, Martha's like, wait a second, we can't do that because there's going to be an odor. I keep saying it wrong. Odor, and we don't want it to smell. We don't, and instead of the faith of believing, no, if Jesus can resurrect our brother, yeah, it might smell, but also this miracle that I believe, it's the actions as well and our faith. And Jesus called her out on that of, don't you believe in me? Don't you believe that I can do this? And I think about that in my own life, because it can be very easy to just look at that and be like, come on, Martha. But I look at that where I'm like, God, you can do anything in my heart, say that prayer of like, God, you can do anything, and I believe in you, and I have faith in you, until something happens, and then I'm like, what's going to happen, God? I don't know. And he's like, just trust me. Like, don't you believe that I can do this? Don't you believe in me? It's like coming back to that of not just saying it, not just, when Jesus asked her, not just, when you're talking to somebody about your faith, but really, do I live out what I am saying? Do I believe that Jesus is the Messiah? And how do I, with my actions, with what I do, follow that? Which is something that I feel like God is continually bringing up to me, for me personally. And so another one that I think is really interesting, let me just remember. So I'm just making sure that I got it. So a lot of people with this, I think it's really interesting of why Jesus wept, which, where it says very clearly of he was filled with compassion. There was this deep compassion in this deep, sorry, I'm just trying to find it. There's a lot of verses. This deeply moved spirit, and almost to the point of anger. And I was thinking about that. I was like, why would he be angry? Like, why would that be something filled with anger? And I honestly started thinking about it. I'm like, well, if he's the Son of God, which he is, and how God created the earth and God created us was without sin, right? And without death. And that was what was supposed to be this, and that's what God's intentions were. And I wonder if that would be so frustrating to, in a way, of like being deeply moved. And I think that's what it was, deeply moved by the people that he wept. But when it says how frustrated or, deeply moved to the point of anger of, this is not what it was supposed to be, right? This was not, sorry, phone call. This is not what it's supposed to be yet.
Call from.
Sorry. Oh, wait a second. Thanks, Jack. That was not what it was supposed to be. And how, the deeply moved of what has just happened. And I was thinking about it too, because he would have known what he was about to do, right? That he was about to bring Lazarus back to life. Yet, I think about it, at least for me, when I'm watching a sad movie, which I know this isn't the same, but this is the best example that I could think of when I watch a sad movie or watch something, I know how it's going to end, right? Especially if I've seen a movie before. And there's some movies, like I love, You've Got Mail is one of my favorite movies. I know how it's going to end, and the ending always makes me cry. Even though I know they end up to get, all this stuff. I know it's a happy ending, but even in that part, I cry. And I'm a crier, but it's that movement as well of seeing those people sobbing after Lazarus, to see also his friends like Mary and Martha, people that he was close to, so, in pain, over the death of their brother. Because we know that how compassionate God is, it would be hard. Yeah, that too. Yeah, I've heard that too. And how they deeply moved, of that, of what has happened, and the compassion that we know that God is. And somebody said this, and it was when I was in YWAM. It was a speaker, and it's always stuck with me, because she was talking about evangelism, and she was talking about Jesus, and she was explaining that, when Jesus was alive, the hardest thing for people to wrap around was that he was the Son of God. So they knew that he was human, but they didn't understand that he was the Messiah, that he was the Son of God. And it seems like now that has almost reversed, where we can see that he's the Messiah, right? We can see that he is the Son of God, that he is holy, that he is pure, that he was without sin. We know that. but I think something that's hard for us to grasp, that he was also human. That's hard to see that side of Jesus. And I think this is a perfect example of who Jesus was, and I know a lot of you guys watch The Chosen, and I love that show, and I love it because I think it shows that. It shows when Jesus is really tired, or it shows when he, is deeply moved by something. And I think that, the humanity of who Jesus is also very important. And so the last bit, when he is, out of that deeply moved, approach the tomb, and like we said, that he was telling Martha, yeah, that's what I was going to get to. That I think sometimes we could put expectations of what we think God's going to do, right? Of, okay, God, I know you've done this, or I know that you can, my mouth is going a lot faster than my brain. Or no, my brain's going a lot faster than my mouth. I think it's so interesting how, I think they thought, Jesus, and it said this, Jesus, if only you were here before. So I think their thought and mindset, just through what they have said, is if Jesus was here but when he was still alive and he was sick, then he could do something. But because there's almost this barrier of passed over, of he's dead, that there's nothing that Jesus can do. But we know that Jesus can, and I think that's so cool that he's the conqueror of death, and he can do those things. And death is not intimidating to him. Death is not something that he can do everything but. And we know this because he died on the cross for his sins and he resurrected. But it's so cool that before even that, to see that, no, he was the ruler over it, that there is nothing, no amount of death that he could not conquer, that he could not bring people back to life. And I think that could be also frustrating, where he kept saying, do you believe in me? And they're like, yes, but it would have been nice if you would have done this, when he was sick. And I think they didn't realize, that when he says he's the Messiah, when he says he is the Son of God, there's no barriers with that he can, and I think that also might be able to show them how much more their faith can go, that it's not just limited into what we've seen and what we have heard or different things, but it's so much more than that. And I don't know, when I was in this discipleship Bible school, and for about a year, I just remember one thing that I kept praying for was that I would experience God's love, like truly experience like the love that God has for me. And I remember I went to a conference for it and was so deeply disappointed because what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. What I thought, the way that I thought that Jesus was, how I thought I would need to receive this, wasn't happening. And I was like, okay, God, like I keep praying this and it's not happening. I keep praying. But it doesn't feel like you're coming through. And I remember after a while getting so frustrated because I was like, God, I keep praying that I would experience the love this way and I haven't been. And I remember feeling convicted one day. It was just really random. I was like, I keep thinking that it's going to come, through this sort of way. And instead, have I even thought of the other ways that Jesus was trying to speak to me, that God was trying to speak to me? And I remember, thinking back through that whole year that I was praying this and thinking that God was not answering any of my prayers, only to see that he did and exceeded so much more. But because my mindset was, it's going to be this, I couldn't receive it any other way, if that makes sense. I keep thinking, like, if I thought, his love, oh, my goodness, sorry, that scared me, thunder, but only, like, if it was, like, a square almost, thinking that his love was going to come through a square, but I keep getting, like, circles or different things, but I would never, unless I would see it and even ask the Lord, what am I not seeing? And what am I not seeing that you are giving to me? Yes, Vel. God has his own timetable too. And so I think that's so important that it doesn't, I don't know. I feel like I'm just supposed to like say, whatever you're praying for, whatever you want, what are you waiting for God to do in your life for your family or for your friends or healing or different things, that not to give up, and know that God hears you, and not to give up, and that it comes in weird ways. I'm telling you, a lot of things that, especially I think of like, oh, like I've seen God like do this in my life. I've seen him, heal people in this way. And so I'll be praying and then it's completely different. And I think that's what's so amazing about God, is that he, I don't know, it's just so cool that he's so unique and so good that even the things that we expect, like, oh, it's going to happen this way. Because I'm kind of that person, I'm like, oh, I think, I asked for this of, healing. I know, and it can come in different ways. And I think that's important. This just came to mind. I know this is a little more rambling and I'm sorry, but, when I was in YWAM, they were telling this story, basically that there was this team, that was in Papua New Guinea. We were in Australia, like our base, but they had a team out in Papua New Guinea, and, a few of them, and so we were praying for them one day, just like the teams. And what was really cool with the YWAM is a lot of families join, and a lot of families, a lot of parents, a lot of couples, and a lot of single people. It's just a really cool mash of everyone, but they had something specifically for the little kids. And it was a time for all the parents to come and kind of connect, but also have their kids, together. And so they felt like they were just gonna pray for the teams. And again, they're little kids, so they're just blurting out different things. And so they're like, there needs to be a big, like, rainstorm. And they're just, and they're mud. And they're just saying all these things like mud, truck, like, not even knowing what they're saying. They're just saying those things. And so the parents are like, all right, like, thinking it's completely random, right? And so they're, praying like, God, I just pray for, like, rain to come wherever that needs to, and, like, trying to get the kids to get involved, but, people who have kids understand. And so they ended it, they prayed and went throughout their day. Well, they found out one of the teams, they were in Papua New Guinea, and they had a truck, and basically they had to get to their next plane ride, and they were in a truck and it got stuck in the mud, and they didn't know what to do. They were pushing, they couldn't get it out, and they were going to miss their flight. And so they were praying, and rain came down, washed away, and they were able to get out of the mud. And they told this story, to one of their contacts, and those contacts were like, part of YWAM, were like, the kids just prayed that this morning. And so it's really cool, even through, these kids that were saying these things that the parents thought were quite random of, okay, God, like, if this is you, and it was him, which was really cool that God, even through those little kids saying that, heard it. And it was just really cool how it doesn't matter how young you are, it doesn't matter how old you are, that God listens to you and answers prayers. And so, that's how I'm going to end, but I'm going to pray and thank you for joining today. And so Lord, I just want to thank you for who you are, God, and that you exceed all our expectations, God, that you are so much better than what I can conjure up in my head, Lord, that you are truth, Lord, that you are good, that you are worthy of praise, Lord, and all powerful and all just incredible, God. And so I just pray just throughout for anyone who's listening that just needs a reminder of your goodness, your compassion, Lord, that your love for them, Lord, that you really do love them. And times of hurt or pain, that you really do come alongside, God, that you are so compassionate. And I just pray that whoever just needs to know that, God, that you are not just looking at them of, I don't know, need to move or whatever, but you really do deeply care about them. And that wherever they're at in their life right now, that I know that you're just sitting with them, that you are deeply moved with compassion for them and love for them, Lord, and that you know, I don't know, that the deepest things, the deepest pains, the deepest wounds that they have, Lord, that in their hearts you want to heal. And so I just pray all these things in your name. Amen. All right. Thank you guys, and I will see you next week.